Everybody, this is Jeff Veale, the business guru, coming to you from, yes, downtown Manila. I've got another awesome guest on today on 15 Minutes of Fame. Guys, if you want your 15 minutes of fame, think about it. A TV commercial will set you back in your country probably 20 or 30 grand. They might go to the toilet, make a hamburger, make a coffee while the commercial's on. If you do 10 radio spots in your city, you're looking probably at 3 to 5 grand, and they may play them at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Come on, 15 Minutes of Fame, and we'll make you famous. We'll put you across all the social media channels, including YouTube, with all your social media links, and potentially put you in front of thousands of people. So there's the invite, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe to this channel, and you're going to meet some awesome people, just like my next guest. He's a very, very unique individual. His name is Andreas, and he's a CEO and founder of a company called Circology. Right, and his industry is dating, relationships, and more. He'll tell you what the more is shortly. He's been in the industry for some 15 years plus, and his description of his business, the circus question, he'll come to that later, compatibility app for D to C, helping singles identify their ideal partner and avoid toxicity. I can't get the word out. Toxicity. Right, the pro version of Matchmakers, coaches, and HR departments wanting to identify compatibility in their business. Key achievements: developing the app to beta testing stage. And his personal motto: prevention is better than cure. It's why I teach what I teach. And fun fact about himself: he's worn many hats over the years to get where he is. He's an architect, radio DJ, nightclub DJ, owner, photographer, and more. So it's my great pleasure to welcome to the stage Andreas. How are you today, my friend?
Great to be here, Jeff. How's it going in Manila?
Going bloody hot, mate, as always. It doesn't snow here very often.
Great. I'm in London, so it's quite warm here. We've had a bit of a heat wave, so it's pretty good. Yeah, that's not great today.
That's a rarity for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us about your journey. What inspired you to pursue your current career path after all the things you've done?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm doing what I do now, Jeff, because at the age of the late 40s, I broke up with my long-term relationship. And being an architect background, designing, everything around me, I decided to create a system to find the next love of my life. Because I'm in late 40s, I didn't have kids, and I wanted to create, create that perfect relationship, if you like.
Sure.
I could have had a lot of fun. I did have a lot of fun. In my mind, I thought, oh, I'm free, like we all do. I'm free. I can have fun, because obviously Tinder was around. I arrived and there was dating apps. I've been, in a relationship for 13 years. I had nightclubs. I did meet a lot of people, obviously,
sure.
and DJing, but I wanted something serious. So when I arrived on dating apps, I found that things were superficial. Great pictures, you chat to someone, you wouldn't get a reply, you think, oh, what's going on here? Some of the profiles were fake. I could tell they were fake because it was just so obvious. And there were others that were genuine. And sometimes people would come back to you and you'd connect, but you'd connect and realize you didn't have much in common.
Yes.
So that was good. But then when you had 50 in your inbox, how did you filter the 50, and they were in London, how do you filter them down so you could go on real dates? Because even 15 years ago, it wasn't cheap, and it's not cheap now. So I devised a question to unlock my compatibility with theirs and identify whether we were a match. And I felt what was important was, for me, was to create a foundation to build a relationship on. Obviously, if you fancy someone, you're on Tinder, you look at the picture, you think, well, she's hot, or he's hot, if you're gay, or whichever way around it might be. And I thought, well, that's the initial spark, that initial attraction.
Got to start somewhere.
If I've got 10 great looking women that I want to date, I need something more. And the bios didn't often give you that, especially today with AI. You can create an amazing bio. Look, you can sound amazing CV, if you like.
Yes.
Who do I figure out I need? Not just want, need. So I identified who I was. I spent literally 2 years working on myself, identifying what I wanted, but also what I needed. And in truth, I identified a role that I needed in a relationship. As a foundation, I needed my compatible partner. So I devised the circus question. And the circus question was the key to asking an introductory question to someone on a dating site or in real life.
Yes.
And by their reply, I could identify my role, whether it matched them. Bit like the star signs, if you like.
Absolutely.
So if I know I'm Leo and I know a bit about star signs or synastry, I can then ask you, what are you? And you could say, well,
Well, if you're a Leo, you'll probably know what they are, correct?
Exactly. Well,
Yes.
you know roughly. But if you do a bit of research and you know what you need,
yes,
or what to avoid, even more importantly, by the way,
correct. Yes.
you can see that you can see it play out in front of you. Because even if you don't believe in star signs, when it keeps saying to you, I'm a Virgo, if it keeps saying to you, don't date Aquarius, if it says don't date Aquarius and you continually date Aquarius, you're doing that cycle and it keeps folding, it keeps breaking up, you keep having problems, and you look at the data and the data says, well, you're going to conflict because Aquarians are like this. You've soon got to decide, well, actually, there's some reality in this. Maybe I should not date Aquarius and date, I don't know, Pisces.
Something else. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because it says I'm Virgo, Pisces and Cancer work for me. I'm just saying. Funnily enough, my current wife is Cancer. Yeah. And my previous relationships have been Pisces and Cancer because I've got on with them. It just naturally flows. I'm
just laughing because both those get on with Scorpio, which I am. It's a funny thing.
Yeah. It's funny, whether you believe it or not, you soon realise there's some kind of, this has been going on for thousands of years. So, so when I devised the question, I already had my role in mind. Yeah. And when I asked the question, I identified someone else's. So maybe I should ask you the question so that your listeners and viewers can actually get on board with the question and understand the dynamics that we're creating.
Right, let's go.
Okay. So, Jeff and audience, let me have your attention for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, clear your mind. Yeah. Jeff, imagine you're at a circus. Imagine the lights, the sounds, the smells, the fun and the laughter, the thrills and suspense. Now imagine for a moment, if you were one of the acts or performers, which act or performer would you be and why?
I can almost smell the sawdust. I think I identified from school days, and even today, I like having fun. I think I identify being a clown. I like entertaining people.
And because you like entertaining people?
Sure.
Okay, excellent. Entertaining. Right. Now, the point of the circus question is this. Let me elaborate a little bit first before we jump on board and tell you what your choice relates to. In a relationship, it's two people. And in this relationship, both people are in control of themselves and their dynamic together. It's a team. Right. So here's a team. Someone gives, someone takes, someone leads, someone follows.
Yes.
Or you share. Yes. In modern relationships, we've become more tolerant to the idea of sharing. And I mean tolerant because it was never like that. Patriarchal systems, the primal instinct was the male dominates, the female is submissive, does as she's told, looks after the house or the cave. And it's tradition. We're talking thousands of years. Thousands of years of tradition has in the last 50, 60 years been broken.
Yes.
Broken, not in a bad way. I mean, if you go to the turn of the 19th century or 20th century with the suffragettes movement and feminism, it's evolved. Let's call it that. In a good way. Because now we've got women that go out into the workplace and work and become more alpha in respect of breadwinners, and men who've decided, you know what, I quite like to do the childcare and stay at home, maybe do the cooking, men are quite good at cooking, obviously a lot of chefs are men. So we've evolved as a culture.
Yes.
So it's no longer correct to be one or the other. We decide what we want to be. And our truth is how your gut instinct, your nurturing, your naturing has evolved over the years. So Jeff, you chose clown. And it suits you and it's your truth. As a clown, you enjoy entertaining. That's what you're picking up from the circus question itself.
Yes.
But the interesting thing about the circus question, it identifies your role in a dynamic of relationship. Because the circus is full of lots of relationships. People ask me, why the circus? And I say, well, it's the place where there are hundreds, literally hundreds of different relationships.
Sure.
Because you've got the ringmaster.
Yeah.
I'm a ringmaster, by the way.
Yeah.
That was my choice. Who likes to control the show.
Yes.
Is diplomatic. Is confident. Is a showman. Is a narrator. Orator as in vocal. I mean, I've trained as a radio DJ. I've been a DJ. I like lots of different jobs. I like variety. Ringmasters control all the shows, all the egos in the show. They put them in order and they say, right, you're going to go first and I'm going to introduce you and you're going to get on. And that's literally what you do as well. But as an entertainer, the clown, in particular yourself, is focused on the audience. Your role is to seduce the audience. Your role is to get love. In a relationship, Jeff, the clown, seeks adoration, loves to be admired, loves to be in a relationship where their partner looks up at them and says, wow, Jeff, you're an amazing human being. You love that. Why do you love that? Because it feeds your ego, but it feeds you. Because we're all about egos. We're not in a relationship because we're saying, oh, I want to be shy and I want to be withdrawn. Man, we all want to be loved. That's what a relationship is about.
Correct.
And the person that's loving you also wants to get fed what they enjoy about life. So the person that adores Jeff wants to be able to give that love to Jeff. And they want that respected and enjoyed. And you give them love and adoration back. But what the clown does, the clown is on and off. That's what I call them, on and off. Mask on, mask off.
Yes.
They wear the mask. I'm the entertainer.
Yeah.
When I take the mask off,
Yeah.
leave me alone. Leave me alone. I don't want to be that entertainer now. I want to go and sit in my room, my cave, as Jeff. Let me think about life, whatever it is. I need my space. So you need a person that understands you. And that person is unique. That person is the audience. Not another clown, because another clown will fight you for the affection.
Yes.
So if you meet a woman and she says clown, that's a clash.
Yes.
If you meet a woman who's a lion tamer, the chances are she'll want to control Jeff because her ideal partner is a lion.
I enjoy being whipped.
Well, you can wear that mask and go, you know what, today I'm going to be whipped. And it'll work just as well because you can be anything you want. You see, clowns are like Geminis. They can slide in and out of whatever guise they want.
Correct.
And it's great because you've got to where you are in life by being able to wear this mask and seduce people. When I say seduce, I don't mean seducing just sexually. I'm talking about seducing business. I'm talking because the Circology, which is the framework, and I'll get to that in a minute, the circus question identifies your role, which you can use. It unlocks that, it's the tool. Circology is the framework. And the framework relies on a numerical system, which is the key.
Yes.
The numerical system that identifies each role as a score. And when you add up the two roles, you get the perfect 10. For example, you're an 8.5. On the numerical score of Circology, you're an 8.5. Lion tamer's a 9. So you like to be in control of your relationship, to lead the relationship. It's very important for you to be able to direct the relationship the way you want to. For example, as I said before, if you meet a lion tamer, she's going to want to control you.
Yeah.
Well, if you put 9 and 8.5 together, that's not the perfect 10. That's 17.5. That's way off the Richter scale.
Yes.
Jeff will run and the lion tamer will get frustrated because she can't control Jeff.
Yeah.
Correct? So that dynamic won't work. So in a numerical scoring system, we can instantly identify whether we're compatible or not. Whereas if Jeff meets audience, and there are quite a few people do say audience actually, they just want to be a spectator. They just want to applaud. They just want to support their partner. That's how their deep role is. I want to be supportive. I want to be passive.
Yes.
I don't want to be the star. You be the star. I'll support you. That's the kind of woman that you need, or man if you were gay, right? So if you meet someone who's probably who could be on the lower end of the spectrum, and by the way, I'm going to show you a diagram, that diagram there, which I don't know if you can see it, but it's in the app.
Coming up very good.
Lion Tamer's at the top. That's a 9. Yep. Jeff, you're there, 8.5.
Yep.
And then going down, we've got the Lion at 1, Audience 1.5, and it goes up in halves. Now, the greeny section in the middle are all the balancing acts.
Yes.
They're the sharers. Yes. These down here are the support, want to be led acts.
Yep.
The trainers, the horse trainers, the elephant trainers, all the trainers, the clown especially as well, the lion tamers, etc. They're at the top end. They're the directors. And in the middle, you've got all the balancing acts, starting from the ringmaster, who has to balance all the other roles.
Yes.
So it's on the periphery, 7. I'm a 7.
Yeah. Sure.
So I'm kind of I conflict from the masculine side, because the trainers are on the masculine essence. That's also something we identify. The masculine and feminine essence that we all have on the Jungian scale. Carl Jung, he had the aminus and the amina, which is basically that we can all have feminine and masculine traits in our being.
Yes.
I've developed it a little bit further by saying, look, we can identify our masculine feminine essence, where we sit on the scale, because by identifying your role, you can see that a clown sits in their masculine more. You find it more difficult to be in your feminine. Doesn't mean you can't do it, but you feel more comfortable in your masculine. In fact, what I mean is directing.
Yeah.
Yeah? Directing is comfortable for you. Being directed is uncomfortable.
Yes.
You might let it happen sometimes.
Sure.
You might whimsically let it happen. You might, like you said, I like being whipped. Well, that might be a joke. That also might be, you have control. You have control. You take the wheel. We're driving now. You take the wheel. You drive today.
Yeah.
You feel comfortable driving all the time. It's the bottom line. Now, with this masculine feminine essence, the acts in the middle, the sharers, I call them, the balanced acts, are more comfortable being masculine and feminine whenever they need to be. And if you're a woman and you're a CEO, it's more comfortable for you to be at the top end and drop down to the feminine when you need to. But it's harder these days to just completely let it go, because women have been nurtured to be autonomous. Women are nurtured to become more independent, and I'm totally for it. But if you're looking for a guy who wants to dominate you, really dominate you, and be in their alpha male, you've got to be careful that that's not overwhelming.
Yes. And
that's where this scale, why this scoring system of psychology identifies toxicity. Because if you're a woman and you're a tightrope walker, for example, and you're a 6, and you meet a lion tamer who's a 9, immediately that's 15.
Yes.
You know that's way off the 10, isn't it? 10, 11, 12, top whack, 13 is doable.
Yeah.
Because you can compromise a little bit. And also slightly on the other end as well. So you can go to 8 and 1 is a 9. Yeah. 7 and 1 is an 8. You can do that. If you go too low on the adding up and you go to a 6, for example, you start lacking direction.
Yes.
The 2 partners, no one's leading. And then, for example, 2 lions will be walking around the cage. And who's going to conduct this show? Imagine that, a circus, 2 lions just sat there with no ringmaster, no lion tamer.
Yes.
That wouldn't be an act, would it?
Not much
They'd
fun.
be walking around the cave, everyone would be sitting there and what's going on here? And that's how it works, okay? In a strange way, the unconscious selection of the second part of the question reveals our truth. And even myself, after 15 years, I'm pleasantly surprised that it works. Now, does any of that resonate with you, with Cleon?
Absolutely. Yeah, as it does with star signs. I'm a great believer. I also believe we use about probably 10% of our brain. There's just a lot more out there, guys. We just have to find it. That's like people like you and I question things. We don't take things at first glance. We ask why.
Yes. Yes. And knowing your truth is actually key to the foundation building, because people often, you know, look, the only constant in life is change. Okay. We know that.
Yep,
so we know this time next year or this time 5 years, and relationships often fail because you start at one point and somewhere along the line you drift apart.
Yes.
We've all been there, folks. I've done it. You've done it. And I asked the question, why did that happen? And how can I avoid it? Now, there's absolutely no 100% cure to avoiding breakup.
That's right.
It's impossible. But if you give yourself a little advantage, certainly a big advantage, if you're growing on a decent foundation as an architect, if you build on a strong foundation, the building is not collapse. It won't collapse, even in an earthquake. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you build on a weak foundation, which is where we've all been, well, Jesus, I used to meet someone in a club. And I think, God, you're hot, I'm going to make you mine. And I'd get the drink, I'd get the date, and I'd take her on a date, a wine, a diner, whatever. I needed cliched. And I would then say, right, she's so amazing. I want this woman. I'm going to make her mine. And I'm going to bang that square peg into a round hole. And she's going to want what I want, no matter what. And I'm going to lead this relationship. And she's going to be exactly what I want her to be. Big mistake. Big mistake, because I didn't factor in that she actually doesn't want exactly what I want. She might want like live in the same area. She might like me because I'm great at sex. She might like me because I've got a big car. She might, all these superficial things that really are not foundation for a relationship. What is a foundation for a relationship are your core values, your core alignment, if you like, of things that are important, that you can grow on. This is the foundation that we're identifying. And dynamics, especially the power dynamic, is more important these days than it ever was. Because in the old days, it was patriarchal. You know, I'm the man, I lead, you listen, and you've got to suck it for life, because now we can't break up. The religion says we can't break up, we can't divorce, and we lived it. Our parents lived it, our grandparents lived it. Right. And the reality today is we date to find a position for lover, wife, husband, confidant, whatever, for as long as we tolerate that person.
Yes.
That's the difference. For as long as you tolerate them. In the old days, you had to tolerate them for life. Now you don't tolerate them, you just divorce or you separate.
It's too easy these days, sadly.
But it's easy for a reason.
Yeah.
It is easy for a reason. I don't disagree with it. But I think if we can actually identify a better role for ourselves and make better choices and co-select, which is key, choose someone that suits you, but also choose them because you suit them. In other words, if you don't suit them, be honest and say, look, I don't suit you.
Yeah,
don't lead them down the line. Don't gaslight them. Don't make them believe in everything that you are. And then somewhere along the line, they see your reality and think, oh my God, I married this guy, or I've got a mortgage with this guy, and now I don't like him.
Yeah. Tell me, what's been the most challenging aspect of your work, and how have you overcome that?
Well, the most challenging is actually convincing people how to use the tool authentically. Yeah. And it will help them, because, you know, I'm not going to lie, it's a whimsical question.
Yes.
And the fact is, there's a real psychological reality to the answer. And that's the key. If you practice the question and you fire it off at friends, family, and potential lovers, potential relationships, and work colleagues, you will then see that it works. Now, my biggest problem, especially developing the app, because when I first developed this, I was working as a coach, and I'd work with clients and I'd get them to go out to dinner or match online and use the question and then identify toxicity and walk away and be extremely ruthless. For example, if you, clown, meet another clown, I'd say, Jeff, look, walk away. And you go, but oh, she's really hot. And I go, yeah, mate, listen, you might understand this person because you have similar values, similar personality traits. But the important thing is here is that similarity stops there, because someone has got to actually give in this relationship. You're not in your ego wants to lead and her ego wants to lead.
Yes.
So unless you compromise, you're going to conflict. And if you're in that relationship already, which is where some of my coaches that I work with, I give a certification program in I've developed a certification program in Circology, which helps matchmakers, coaches, and HR professionals utilize the Circology framework in their practices. So it helps them identify teams or help clients. For example, you've got a couple, they come to me, they say, look, I need some help. You fire off the question at both the couple, each partner simultaneously, that you identify their roles, and you're able from that to see the cracks in the relationship.
Yes.
Because of the conflict. They're not in a happy relationship. So you can see the conflict, and you can resolve the conflict by allowing some kind of compromise to happen, because you're visually demonstrating, for example, the clown, you're visually demonstrating the nuance in the relationship.
Yes.
People like analogies, people like visuals, and it's nice to paint a picture and let them see. When you throw psychological terms at them, and I mean, it's fine to say attachment theory, it's fine to say this, and it's fine to say that, but people often don't kind of relate to that on its own unless you create story. Yes. They can understand. So the nice thing about the circus question and Circology, it is very visual, and it's identifiable because we can all relate to the acts in a circus, even though there aren't lion tamers anymore. There are in the Eastern world, but in the Western world, it's gone. Yes. But we can still relate to that dynamic of control, and not all a balanced power dynamic is not abuse. It's a shared consensual understanding between two people that you're giving me what I need and I'm giving you what you need. And if I need to be in control and you're giving me control of that relationship, you trust me. So it's consensual, not abuse. It only becomes abuse if that person is fighting the other one to control them. For example, if you met a lion tamer and she was constantly henpecking you, Jeff, do this, Jeff, do that. And you're like, oh, geez, I don't need this. I don't need this woman controlling me. You'd be rebelling. That would be a toxic relationship. Yeah. Because you would resent her.
I wouldn't be a happy
she would resent you. No, you'd run. You'd run. And if and this is where we are. I use this analogy, and I'll share this with you. I use the analogy of when you start in a relationship, you start from a starting point, and you know where you want to go. In other words, you know your destination. It might be love, it might be marriage, it might be children, but whatever that destination is, and in meaningful connections, we're looking for something long term, really. So if you're looking for that love interest and you're looking at life, marriage and life, your destination is a long 20, 30, 40, 50 years, whatever that might be. Yeah. Wherever you are. My starting point was, late 40s, but let's say your starting point is mid 20s, 30s. You've got to pay 50 years with a partner potentially. That's a long journey, right? A long opportunity for people to change.
A lot of twists and turns there.
Lots of twists and turns, and perfect for the analogy. So if you start from a good foundation, for me, it's like being in the same car, going on that journey together. You've got your partner next to you. You're driving. In my relationship and in yours, I like to be the driver. I like to be the leader.
Yes.
So I'd be driving. My passenger, my wife, would be admiring the view, connecting with me, sharing the conversation, the twists and the turns. We'd navigate them together. We'd get out, we'd admire the view, we'd stay over. But on that journey, there'd be shit. There'd be good stuff.
Yeah, potholes.
Maybe kids, so we fill the car up with kids, and there'd be problems with that, and there'd be good things with that. So on that journey, we'd navigate it together. She trusts me to drive all the way because I know what I'm doing in her eyes, and that's the relationship. Yeah. The mistake we make, by the way, in a shared relationship, which is with the green section, which we discussed earlier on that polarity diagram, would be where the wife likes to drive as well, and I like to be the passenger sometimes, so we'd swap over. So in that relationship, we'd swap, and we'd still navigate those twists and turns together, and we'd discuss where we want to go and what we want to do, and it's a shared dynamic, balanced. So you've got the shared dynamic imbalanced, lion tamer, lion, clown audience, where you're the driver, she's the passenger, and you've got the equal balance where you share the role, the navigation, and that's fine as well. And that works for that like and the opposites attract. Okay.
Yeah. Tell me.
The problem we have in society is we don't teach that. So what happens is we find someone, we think we're in the same car, but actually we're in two separate cars.
Right.
We're two separate cars. She's hot.
Yeah.
I'm great as far as she's concerned.
Yeah.
We both start together and we both set off on this drive together. She's in her own autonomous world. I'm in mine, and I'm thinking she's going to follow me.
Right.
Or I'm going to follow her, whichever way you want to sit.
Yeah.
In life, somewhere along the line, somewhere along the length of that line, you're going to get lost. Yeah. She's going to get left behind. I'm going to get left behind. We're going to lose each other. And that's how the relationship breaks up, because we drift apart. If you're going to navigate a relationship long term, you need to have an understanding and a foundation, which is key. Still doesn't mean someone doesn't get out the car somewhere along the route. Okay, that's the analogy.
Opinion, what are the key qualities and skills that have helped you come up with all this and contribute to your amazing success?
I think my variety. I think, having a designer background, from my point of view, I always feel that I can create something through lateral thinking. I'm not black and white. In the roles of the dynamics of the circus, the tightrope walker is totally goal orientated and focused. They have to be, absolutely. Yeah. And that kind of person often is in finance or medicine or science, and they have to be black and white.
Yeah, accountant. Yeah.
Yeah. So they have to 100% be focused. If their partner is knocking them off balance, they'll soon walk away because they can't be who they need to be. So I'm being ringmaster and variety, which is key to my life. I've done so many things, Jeff.
Yeah.
And sometimes people say, that old saying, what was it? Expert at none, because too many whatever.
Yeah.
I like to get good at something. That's exactly it. I kind of feel once I'm a master of something, I need to move on.
Yeah, absolutely.
I get bored.
Yeah, that's it.
I get bored, but I also enjoy the variety. I mean, could you go to the same beach, the same woods, the same forest every day? You want to travel. You want to see different the world. That's the variety that we've got. We haven't got long in life.
That's right.
And I've enjoyed. Listen, I've got honestly, and Tony Robbins says this: life happens for you, not to you. Right. I don't have any issue with my past. I had a lot of money at one point and I lost it. I had a very big, nightclub empire, 300 staff, multi-million-pound company. Lost it. Do I have any regrets? Right now, no. At the time, yes. Naturally. Right now, no. I've got 3 wonderful children. Yeah. Wonderful children.
Yeah.
All under 7.
Yeah.
An amazing wife.
Yeah.
Amazing life, let's call it that.
Yeah. And health.
Right now, where I am, I have no regret.
Yeah.
But if you have regrets, you're stuck in that depression. Obviously, anxiety is moving forward. Yeah. Depression is going back. You've got to live for now. Absolutely. And unless you create the life that you want for now, you're never going to move forward.
Speaking how do you stay motivated to continue as you do and continue to innovate in your field? What's the secret?
Well, innovation for me is key because, you've heard about the innovator's dilemma.
Yeah.
Have you heard the term innovator's dilemma?
I have. Yeah.
Right. And if people don't know what I'm talking about, I'll give you a quick example. Dick Fosby, the high jumper from the 70s. He was in the American high jump team. He wasn't the best in the States and he wasn't by far the best in the world. But he was frustrated because he wanted to make not just the team, but he wanted to break records. And I'm summarizing here because I wasn't there, so I can't actually say exactly what he did. But what he did was he thought about it. He thought, listen, everybody runs along and they just straddle, jump over the line, the pole.
Yeah.
Well, there's got to be another system.
Yeah.
And maybe if I can create a better system, then I'll be better. And the innovator's dilemma is if I can't compete with you, I've got to innovate to become better, but also compete.
Yes.
And what he did, he created the Fosby flop, which is, where they run up backwards and they throw themselves backwards and they end up and they break these records.
Yes.
Everybody has adopted that style of jumping.
Yeah, because it works better.
It works better, and people have jumped much higher than they used to do by straddling.
Yeah.
Now, when I created the circus question, I didn't think, right, let's use Myers-Briggs or let's use one of these other systems or whatever. I thought there's got to be something that's going to work for me. So innovating was key, but also innovating in the sense of something unique, which I've got now from my point of view. I'm sharing it with others. Hence, I'm doing this podcast. Hence, I'm trying to spread the word, because the app that I've created, which you can get the link on the notes, is going to reach more people quicker, because I want to serve people. And I'm honestly not about making money. I want to make money to live, and thankfully, you know, it's good. But what it is I don't want to charge this subscription service. You know, everyone says to me, "Oh, but you should." Well, maybe in the future. But right now, it's a one-time fee, and I want to reach as many people as possible to prove a point. And if you're happy, you're going to tell everybody else about it. So it's a numbers game. So that's what inspires me, Jeff. Helping people. I used to help hundreds of people coaching. Now I want to help hundreds of people or thousands of people en masse. And that's what we're doing now.
Tell us a recent project or achievement you're particularly proud of.
Well, the Circology framework, believe it or not, the circus question started 15 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And and the Circology framework came about last year. And the epiphany was this. I kept trying to complicate things. I kept trying to think, look, it's got to be complicated to be good. And the reality was, I found myself coaching everybody personally. In other words, if you were the clown and you were dating now, you'd come back to me and say, "I've just met Stilt Walker. What does that mean, Andreas?"
Yeah.
And I'd say, "Well, clown 8.5, Stilt Walker, I think it's a 6. No, Jeff, it won't work."
Right.
And you'd be like, "Why not?" And I'd have to explain it all to you. Now, the reality is, the app not only tells you what those positive and negative traits are, and it also includes love languages and attachment styles, which is key, but it also tells you numerically, instantly, the quickest compatibility quiz on the planet, bar none.
Yeah.
You are compatible, you're not compatible. Just by adding your scores together, you're an 8.5, they're a 6, 15.5, can't be done.
Yeah.
You can fight the system, but you'll soon realize that it works. Now, what it was, Jeff, was this. The reason I'm proud of it, and the reason it came about, was I needed something that people could self-assess. And having a numerical system or a score was that. Because I used to get clients call me from a dinner date in the toilets, and they'd call me and they'd say, "Andreas, or are you available? I need to talk to you." And I go, "So what?" "Oh, I'm a trapeze solo, and I've just met a clown." And I'd go, "Okay." I'd look at my chart.
I don't like heights.
And I'd say, "Oh, that's going to be difficult. That's going to be difficult. It's going to be tricky. This is what they're like, and this is what you need. And it's a little bit on the high side. They're going to overwhelm you." And she's a lovely guy, but I'm finding it really quite difficult. And I'd say, "Okay, because that's not your natural leaning." So I tell them what to look out for. Now, the problem with that is you're constantly feeding someone rather than teaching them how to cook.
Yes.
If you teach someone how to cook, they can feed themselves.
Yes.
So Circology was born, the epiphany, the perfect 10. I'm sitting there, literally in the bath. I'm not, but, you know, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, oh, my God, if I give everyone a number and I put them on a scale and they add that up, they can self-assess.
Yeah, lovely.
Why didn't I think of that 15 years ago?
Well, it's just there. It's vegetating inside your head. You know how it is.
Yeah, and it's so simple.
Yeah.
It works because you don't have to think too much. Once you know your role, you're 8.5.
Yeah.
And once you've got the app and you can look along that, you can see.
What if you're bad at maths, Andre? What do you do there?
That's hard, isn't it? It's hard. Adding halves. That's really hard. 8.5 and 3.5. Oh,
get a calculator.
Do you know what? You're going to laugh. Some people do get stuck. And I'm not going to lie. Some people do get stuck. 7.5 and 5.5. What does that mean?
Love it. What advice would you give a 20-year-old version of yourself who wanted to follow in your footsteps? What would you tell them?
First of all, I wish I had this tool. Secondly, I probably wouldn't have believed it.
Yeah.
And that's the reality. Because at 20, we don't really listen to anything, do we?
No,
We listen to love. We
know
get infatuated. We know everything.
Yeah.
So I think in respect of 20-year-olds, I'm probably off the mark. Even my own kids, trying to teach them at 20, I'll try to. But I think at 20, you've got to kind of make mistakes and learn. Yeah. So that's the reality.
Yeah.
But if you can nurture some quality decision-making into 20-year-olds, and you can give them choices which are actually valuable choices, then informed consent is very important. But informed decisions through learning, I think, is key. I mean, we all know the effects of alcohol. We all know the effects of smoking. We all know the effects of bad choices. We all know the effects of... But, you know, if I knew what I knew 30 years ago, let's say, I wouldn't be where I am now. The reality is I wouldn't be the same person. And so I think we've got to be grateful for the experiences we've had, as long as you haven't been hurt and traumatized by them. I mean, at 18, I learned to drive at 18. Okay, Jeff? Yeah. My parents allowed me to drive across Europe with 3 other people in my car, other students. We drove to Venice.
Wow.
We spent a month in Venice. We drove around Europe for another month. And we came back. I was 18, man. Yeah. You wouldn't do that. I wouldn't. You know what? I probably wouldn't allow my kids to do that. I mean, I'm driving on the wrong side of the road as well. Remember, I'm in the UK. So I'm driving on the right hand or the left hand side on the right hand drive. All of a sudden I'm in a right hand drive vehicle driving on the left hand side, on the right hand side, sorry. And I'm 18. I just passed. Even today, I think, Jesus, what were my parents thinking when I said I'm an architecture student and I need to drive to Venice as part of the course? Everyone else flew. That's how mad I was. And the 3 people that drove, my student friends that drove with me, thought we were all crazy. We slept in the middle of Milan in the square in this car, in the van actually, and we slept and got woken up by the dustman knocking on the car and like, what are you doing parked there? These crazy things teach you lessons.
No, it's all part of the adventure. Like, imagine when your mother tells you the stove's hot. What do you do when she's not around? You go over to the stove and touch it.
Of course you do. You know, listen, when I coach, I say there's 2 types of fear in life. What are they, Jeff? You know what they are. 2 types of fear.
I only fear the stuff I haven't done. That's the only fear I have.
There's 2 fears. The fear of the known. You know that the stove has burnt you, so you don't do it again. Yeah. And the fear of the unknown. Yeah, the fear of the unknown is the anxiety that someone's told you you're going to get burnt, so don't touch it. Yes. Those 2 fears are what drive us.
Yes.
And the reality is, if you've had really in a relationship system or a relationship experiences that we all have, if we've had bad relationships, that's all we know. The fear of moving forward is our sabotaging our new relationship.
Yeah, sure.
It's done because we basically, a lot of women do this, by the way. Yeah. They create the victim mentality, and I'm not saying men don't, because they do. Yeah. I know the next guy I'm going to meet is going to shit on me. He's going to shit on me. So I know that's going to happen. And it's like driving the car in the direction that you shouldn't be driving because you know you're going to crash. You need to turn away. You need to turn away and go, no, the next relationship I'm going to have is going to be the good one.
Yeah, you've got to learn from the past.
Hope that happens. Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to be constantly meeting the wrong people
if you're smart,
and then making excuses.
Yeah. And I might add, the only people that don't make mistakes, folks, are the people that do nothing. So do something every day. Do something different. Challenge yourself. The funny thing, Andre, I very rarely, unless you came to town, I'd take you somewhere good, I rarely go back to the same restaurant because I've had that experience. I want to have another experience now. Right?
Yeah. I'm different. I'm different. If I find something that I'm really happy with, I overkill. I'm not going to lie. My wife will tell you this. I'll find, let's say we'll have something. It could be dessert, and it'll be like, oh, I'm going to have that all the time because until I'm sick of it. Yeah. So I'm a bit different. Yeah. But yes, I do like experiences. I'm not scared to try something new. I'll try it. If I don't like it, whatever. I mean, like me, I've never had a type. This is the ringmaster, by the way. Yeah. The ringmaster likes variety. So I've not got a type. When I'm dating, when I've been dating, I've never had... I might like a tall, skinny woman. I might like a skinny woman, fit, whatever. But that's natural. But it doesn't matter if she's a brunette. Doesn't matter if she's blonde. Doesn't matter if she's red.
Yeah.
Blue eyes, green eyes. You know,
Yeah.
she could be 5'3", 5'9". My ex was 6 foot.
Correct.
You know, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
That's not relevant. But that's me as a ringmaster.
Yes.
You as clown is probably into variety as well, because you entertain the audience. There's a lot of different variety out there, so that would work for you. But someone like an animal who chooses an animal wants one particular type of person.
Yes.
Yeah, an elephant, for example, wants an elephant trainer. That's what works for them. So they want a type. So we're going back to analogies again, but yeah, you get it.
Anyway, looking ahead, Andre, as we must. What are your goals and aspirations for the future, my friend?
My aspiration is to help as many people as possible, Jeff. We're only on this, 15 minutes of fame, 15 years left in life, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I really would love to help people in the future, moving forward. Yeah. It's, you can help people in the past only by understanding where they came from.
Sure.
And it does help. That app does help you understand, because you can look at the traits that don't match you. And this is good, by the way. If you pick an act that's, let's say you're a 6 or you're a 5, you can look at the 9, you can look at the lion tamer, you can look at the clown, and you can look at their positives and negatives. You can identify what you perhaps had in the past. So it is a learning tool. So you can go backwards, not just forwards. But what I really want to do is help people, man. Maybe
you should follow in my footsteps. This is a true story, guys. I was Australia's, in fact, probably the world's, before the internet, I was a matchmaker for 20 years, right? Mm-hmm. So your program should have been around then. So I saw all this stuff.
Wow.
One of my favorites is some 65-year-old guy comes in, nice guy, nice style of a guy. I was about 40, and he comes in and he says, I'd just broken up with my girlfriend. What happened? She was spending $30,000 a month on my Amex, and she was going away skiing with all her friends, and blah, blah, blah. And what can I do for you now? He said, I want one the same. Mate, what's wrong with you, man? He wanted the same again. He wanted another 25-year-old bimbo.
Well, look, money buys you love.
Yeah,
but money buys you freedom, right? Yeah. Male or female, money buys you freedom.
Absolutely.
Whether it's right for you or not, who am I to judge, or who are you to judge if that person's content?
Yeah, well,
the fact is, when they're actually moaning about it, they're moaning about it and saying, I can't stand the fact she's spending. If he hasn't got it to spend, if you can afford 30 grand on your Amex card and have a 25-year-old swinging from your arm, right? And that makes you happy, good luck to you. Because male or female, and a lot of women these days are in that position, and good luck to them. Yeah. Because, with what I teach, Jeff, it's all about compatibility, and it doesn't matter who's male or who's female. If you're straight, lesbian, gay, or indifferent, you can still use this system to identify your ideal role. And the key here is happiness through growing and flowing together. Yeah. You're not going to flourish with a partner unless you're both happy. So if he's giving her the 30 grand a month, he's happy because he's got that hot chick by his side, whether that's, a 5-minute wonder 3 times a month or whatever it is, she makes him happy. Good luck to him. Right. If he's miserable, though, I basically say to him, you need to change your, the cycle. You need to break the cycle.
The frustrating part was I could see it. He couldn't. I'm trying to tell him, he's 65. I can get you a really hot 40-year-old, like a young Olivia Newton-John, right? I can get you a 40-year-old. And he goes, oh, no, I don't want that. I goes, mate,
why?
I can't help you. I let him go. I didn't want to take his money.
Often, Jeff, men, and when I coach men, they're unrealistic. We're unrealistic. I'm not going to lie to you. We look at the hottest girl in the club, the hottest girl at the bar, or we pick out the hottest chick, and we think that's where my primal brain is going. Hot, fit. That's where and if I can seduce and control that and win that, that's a huge prize. That's our primal instinct. Unfortunately, that's the primal brain. The reality is often women will look, and our feminine essence will identify emotion, a personality that I'm attracted to, not just a visual aspect.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Where women are CEOs now, and women are more controlling, and they're the higher end of the spectrum. They are now saying, "I want 6 foot." They are now saying he's got to have abs and he's got to be fit, like a man does.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But if they're identifying something that they need and they want, they have to understand that if they're 50 something and the personal trainer in the gym is 25 and he's showing interest, be very careful that their values align. Because if your values don't align, it's very different to a man. A man at 50 can get a 25-year-old pregnant.
Yes.
So he can still make her have give her children that she desires. A 25-year-old personal trainer with a 50-year-old woman, if he wants kids and they haven't discussed that, then game over, because he'll walk. And unfortunately, as much as it pains me, that's the truth.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's reality, folks. Unless you've frozen your eggs and you're going to he's not going to care. I don't care if you've got kids with you, as long as you just, you unfreeze your eggs and we'll bring these kids up together. That can work. But compromise has to be discussed.
Yeah.
And I use the 3 C's. Communication is key.
Yeah.
Identify what your needs and wants are. To identify compatibility and then compromise. People are too quick to be unselfish. Yeah. Be selfish in what you're looking for. Be selfish in what they're looking for. In other words, ask the question, what does Jeff want from me? He wants adoration. Okay. Can I give him adoration? No, because you know what? I want to be a CEO and I want to run around doing my thing. I won't be there for Jeff when he comes home. And he's going to get pissed off because, he's going to go, wife, where's my dinner? Where's my love? That's the love she gives you. Where's my dinner? Where's my time with you? Oh, well, I'm busy making a business. Jeff will soon be resentful and it won't work. So it's all about identifying, mate. And toxicity comes in all shapes and guises. It's not just abuse. People make that mistake. Abuse can be one word. Toxicity can be one word. Valuing someone, being heard, being seen, giving people quality time, giving people the right kind of gifts. These are the things that people value in a relationship, because you're tied to that person. If you're not giving it to them, someone else will, or they'll be jealous that someone else is getting it. And then
there's an old saying, but my friend used to say, "It's too tall to eat grass."
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
There it is.
Tell our listeners, how can they reach out to you, Andre, and find out about your amazing service and your program? Apart from, we're going to put it all across all the different channels. What's the best way?
Easily, Circology.life. Circology, spelled circus, Circology. You'll spell that right. Sometimes in the auto prompts, the words, the caption, it comes up psychology for some reason. It doesn't identify yet.
It's on the screen.
Circology, fantastic. .life. It is a life rather than love, because it is universal for HR as well. So on there you'll be able to get a link. The Circus question to the Circus question app. We're not in the app stores yet, Jeff. By the time this comes out and by the time maybe someone sees this, maybe it will be. So you can search in the app stores. We're currently beta testing. Some amazing results are coming back. And it's growing, and the community is growing. So there's a community on the app as well. You can ask me questions. You can contact me directly if I can get to you, that is. Just use it. Fire away the question. You'll be surprised how accurate it is. And it is officially the world's quickest compatibility quiz.
Fantastic. Before we wrap it up, Andre, tell us a fun fact about yourself that most people don't know.
You asked me this before, I think.
I did.
I have seen this before. A fun fact about people that don't know. Well, many years ago, I was a collector. And I had a nightclub system called Starsky and Hutch, and I became a massive collector in Starsky and Hutch memorabilia. In fact, I did a TV show, and I owned the car, the big red and white tomato car. It was a replica, obviously. It wasn't, there were lots of them that were made the same. And I had the nightclub called Starsky and Hutch, and the real actors, David Soul, Paul Michael Glazer, Antonio Fargas, came to my club. They drove the car. And that fun fact was something that was really mental, because when I had the club abroad, and I say this, I had the club abroad in the Mediterranean, and Antonio Fargas, who was Huggy Bear, would come to the club, and we'd be standing outside welcoming the guests.
Yes.
And people would double take and go, "Are you?" And he'd go, "Yeah, I am." And it was mind blowing because, you know, I used to love it because not because of an ego, but because
sure.
you were meeting someone that you grew up with, man. You know, you grew up with this personality.
Yeah.
You know, with all due respect, these days, some of these personalities have spoilt their image.
Absolutely.
You know, and some of these celebrities, you know, with the Me Now thing. Thankfully, some of the guys that I've worked with haven't. And that was a really nice thing to give people something back, to go on the beach and with Huggy Bear. And people were like, "Wow, Huggy Bear's on the beach." And that was a fun thing. Anyway, that was it.
All right. You've been an awesome guest, my friend. Thank you very much for being on the show. And guys, if you want your 15 minutes of fame, reach out. Just like Andre here, every man and woman's got a story. So we'd love to hear your story. So come on the show.
Thank you for having me, Jeff.
Awesome. Thank you.